Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we'll continue reading from chapter 6 of Canto 7, The Science of God, from Brilliant as the Sun, retelling of Srimad Bhagavatam. Chapter 6 is Divine Instructions for the Demons. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatamham vande shri gurum deendarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. Prahlad's heart melted with compassion as he looked at the faces of his young friends. He felt sad they were being systematically indoctrinated into worldly life. One of the older boys said, Prahlad, why do you never join in our games? Prahlad smiled. Anyone who understands the importance of this human body will only use it to serve Krishna. We are only children, said a younger child. Can't we play now and do devotional service when we are older? What if you die young? Replied Prahlad. We will start in our next life, said another child. Prahlad shook his head. The human body is rarely attained and it is our only chance to achieve perfection. What if we die soon after beginning our devotional service? Asked another boy. Will we still be able to achieve perfection? Prahlad nodded. By rendering even a little sincere service, we can become completely perfect. The children edged closer. What should we do? Asked an older boy. Prahlad said, do those things which will reawaken your intimate, loving relationship with Lord Vishnu. He is the best friend and well-wisher of everyone. No one can be happy without him. We will simply suffer life after life. My father is an atheist, said the one boy, followed by a chorus of other boys echoing his sentiment. Are they happy? Asked Prahlad. The boys thought for a moment, then each shook his head sadly. So why be like them? Asked Prahlad. My parents also think material success is the greatest achievement, but I don't agree. Why not? Asked the boy. Because even animals enjoy material pleasures. Besides, just as suffering comes without us seeking it, so does enjoyment. Pursuing it is waste of our time and energy, since it gives us only temporary pleasure and does not solve the real problems of life, birth, old age, and disease and death. I therefore prefer to focus on serving Krishna so that I can realize the eternal happiness of the soul. Anyone with good sense will strive to attain life's highest goal while he still has the strength and ability to do so. Can you see that? The boy sat in thought for a few moments. Then one said, my dad is a big general. He has lots of money, an enormous mansion, 4 wives, and many servants, but he's never happy. He's always shouting and angry. You are right. I don't want to be like him. Many boys murmured in agreement. Then one said, my dad isn't much fun either. He is getting old and is always complaining about one pain or another. But my big brothers are not like that. They have lots of fun. They go to parties and drive splendid chariots. They're strong and handsome, and the girls love them. I want to be like them. I can enjoy all this until I'm old like my dad, then serve Krishna. That way I will get the best of both worlds. What do you say, Prahlad? So, two scenarios. Two scenarios are there of the material life as we read how Prahlad's friends are interacting with Prahlad. Prahlad laughed. That does not appeal to me. Why not? Asked the boy. Look, every one of us can only live up to 100 years maximum. That's a long time, said the boy. Yes, but let me ask you, how many hours do you sleep at night? The boy thought a moment, then said, usually about 12, around 12. So said Prahlad, you sleep for half your life. That leaves you only 50 years to achieve real self-realization. Surely that's enough time, insisted the boy. You must take the time for spiritual life, said Prahlad. Otherwise, you will fritter away your first 10 years of life in ignorance. The next 10 years you will waste playing. For maybe 20 years of your old age, you will be ill and unable to do things, rather anything. He's right, said another boy. Once we get married and must work, we will be hard pressed for time. It won't happen unless we make time. Exactly, said Prahlad. If we don't control our mind and senses now, when we grow up, our lusty desires and material illusion will be so strong that we will become more and more attached to temporary family pleasures, and we will have no time to serve Krishna. A small boy said, I'm only little now. I like to play. When I'm bigger, I will serve Krishna. I promise. Prahlad smiled at the boy. It's not that easy, my friend. If we don't control our senses now, we will become addicted to sense gratification when we grow up. It will be hard then to strive for liberation because we will be too attached to our wives, children, and relatives. And of course, everyone with uncontrolled senses is mad about getting more and more money. Money becomes their god. They will risk their very lives to get more. If we do not develop an attachment to Krishna now while we are young, it will be more difficult when we grow up. At that time, our beautiful wives and small children will captivate our hearts. We will waste our leisure time in solitary embraces with our wives or doting on our children. We will be unable to bear even the thought of separation from them. Even when our children grow up, we will always think of them, especially our daughters. Do you not see how your fathers fawn on your sisters? Looking after our aging parents will also preoccupy us, and we will be attached to our homely comforts. Adults are like silkworms. To satisfy their tongue and genitals, they weave a cocoon which becomes a prison from which they cannot escape. So, some amazing analogies are there. Prahlad paused and studied the curious, earnest faces of his friends. How could he convince them of the urgency of controlling their senses and serving Krishna from a young age? He feared if they waited until they were older, it would be too late. My dear friends, he pleaded, this human body is rarely achieved, and most important, only in a human body can we realize our eternal, blissful, spiritual identity and our relationship with Krishna, our best friend. If now, while we are young, we addict ourselves to material enjoyment, it will be difficult to undo the damage when we are older. We will become entangled in family life like our fathers. They are always attentive to not wasting money but inattentive in wasting their lives. Not even repeatedly suffering the three types of miseries suffices them to make them give up their addiction to sensual gratification. What are the three kinds of misery? Prahlad asked an older boy. They are called Adhyatmik, Adidevik, and Adibhautik. Adhyatmik means the miseries from our bodies or minds, like disease or depression. Adidevik means suffering from natural disturbances such as extreme harsh weather or earthquakes. The third one, Adibhautik, means suffering inflicted on us by other living entities. Being bitten by mosquitoes, robbed by criminals, or insulted by others are examples of this suffering. The boys looked at each other and nodded. They knew that what these sufferings felt like. My big brother steals my pocket money and threatens to beat me if I tell mom and dad, said younger boy. That is Adibhautik, said Prahlad. I got caught in a snowstorm once and I was freezing and I couldn't see anything. I guess that's Adidevik, said another child. My mom is always depressed, said another one. I think she has even tried to commit suicide a few times. Is that Adhyatmik? Yes, said Prahlad. Every conditioned soul experiences these sufferings, but they stop when we realize our eternal spiritual identity and relationship with Krishna. We can do that only in this human life. Animals can't stop their sufferings. It is hard to realize our relationship with Krishna, asked one boy. It's hard if we can't control our senses and spend all our time thinking about how to provide for our families. Such people simply compound their problems by cheating others to get money, even though they know they could get caught and be punished and will certainly get bad karma, still they can't stop themselves. We won't be like that when we grow up, Prahlad said one boy. Our parents have sent us to this school to learn how to do well in life, Prahlad chuckled. My dear friends, your parents are atheists and they have sent you to be taught by atheistic teachers. Therefore, although they are training us in the Vedas, they are not educating us in our identity as eternal spirit souls, servants of Krishna. We do not learn this, we will be as ignorant as them when we grow up. Why do you call them ignorant? Asked one of the boys. Like cats and dogs, they identify with their family and spend all their time providing for them, but they have no interest in understanding their eternal identity and the true purpose of their lives. Why can't we be attached to our families and self realize? Said another boy. Prahlad applauded the question and said, we need to give some time for learning about Krishna and awakening our relationship with him. Otherwise, we will not become free from material addictions and suffering. We will continually suffer the reactions of our past karma and create new sinful reactions that we will endure in the future. The boy still looked doubtful. Why can't we learn about Krishna and stay with our families? Usually, men enter family life enchanted by their wife's beauty. When they become absorbed in providing for the children, and in old age, they dote on their grandchildren and great grandchildren. Atheists squander their entire lives like this. Therefore, my dear friends, I'm asking you not to follow the example of your atheistic fathers. Make time to cultivate your knowledge and relationship with Narayan and attain liberation from all material pains. One of the younger boys began to cry. I want to know Narayan, but I don't want to leave my mom and dad. Do not cry. Little one, you don't have to give up your family. Just make time for knowing Narayan. Originally, we come for him. Therefore, he is our Supreme Father. He has made it easy for us to know him. We just need to make some effort. Even children and old people can know him if they try just a little. If we do what you say and try to learn about Narayan, then can we become happy like you, Prahlad? Asked the boy. Yes, definitely, said Prahlad. My dear friends, you can trust Lord Narayan. He controls everything. He never makes a mistake or falters, nor does he ever get tired and weak. He extended his right arm to indicate the school building and the trees and flowers on the ground. He is present everywhere, in inert things like this building and in all living beings from these plants to Lord Brahma. Are there lots of Narayans? Asked one boy. He is just the one, but he is all pervading. He is the super soul, cause of all causes. He is present in matter and each of our hearts. Although I have tried to describe him, it is impossible to do so fully. He is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge, but atheists cannot see him because they deny his existence. I want to know him, as said the little boy who had been crying. So do I, echoed many other boys. Teach us how we can see Narayan, Prahlad. They clamored. You must first please him, he replied. How can we do that? Said several voices at once. He doesn't like it when we are unkind to others. He wants us to be kind to everyone. The best way to do that is to teach them about Narayan, just like I am teaching you. But we should also do dharma, artha, and kama. Is that right? Asked an older boy. Prahlad waved a finger. These things are not used to Narayan's devotees. They just want to preach his glories, and he provides for all their needs. He and has unlimited spiritual powers. When his devotees glorify him, they transcend all other desires. The older boy said the Vedas come from Narayan, and Shanda and Amarak say they recommend Dharma, Artha, and Kam. Are they misleading us? Prahlad said no. The Vedas recommend different paths for people who are only concerned with the worldly happiness, such as how to perform religious ceremonies, earn one's livelihood, uphold law and order in society, and even debate. Our teacher do not realize that if these are only practice for material happiness rather than to help us come to the spiritual platform, they are material and useless waste of time. They do all these things and they haven't come to the spiritual platform. What if we don't either? Asked one boy. Said, well, said Prahlad, the Vedas also teach a more direct path. Surrender to Narayan. This is the path I prefer. How do we surrender to him? Asked another. Lord Narayan taught this to Narad. We can learn from him or another great devotee or even from one of the students. Do you know how to surrender to Narayan? Asked a boy. Yes, surrendering to Bhagwan. Narayan is called Bhagavad-Dharma. Who taught you? I learned directly from the great Saint Narad. He is always happy because he is immersed in the loving service of Narayan. What he taught me is logical, and by following his teachings we become more purified of material misconceptions and desires and ultimately attached to Krishna. Then we too can be happy. Always try it and you will see it is scientific, the boy said. Looked at each other. Some appeared puzzled. One of them voiced what was on their minds. Prahlad, you know we all like you, but it's difficult to believe that you learned this from Narad. Asked. All the boys agreed. And another said, while we are at school, none of us sees any adult older than Shanta and Amarak. At least the rest of the at least the rest of us get to meet other people when we go home for the holidays, but not you. We have all heard how carefully you are guarded even when you go home. It would be impossible for you to hear from Narad or any other Vaishnav. Another boy said, we don't think you are a liar, Prahlad, but can you clarify this doubt? So we'll continue reading next time from chapter 7. Thank you for joining. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai.